Can we talk about the Royals for a minute? Now, people in Kansas City are going to say, why are you talking about the Royals? They're 6 games out. They're in fourth place. They've been disappointing. They're chasing the Tigers. You're focusing so much on the American League Central, which I would argue is the best division in the American League. I think that's a pretty safe bet that the AL Central is, even with the White Sox there. But I want to talk about something because people, you're going to hear and you're going to read a lot, people, even casual baseball people, you're going to read about this player named Jac Caglianone, and you're going to read about whether or not the Royals are going to call him up. He's like a top 10 MLB prospect, and he is raking right now in the minor leagues. Absolutely raking. He plays for Omaha, which is the AAA team for the Kansas City Royals. He's 22 years old, first baseman, a lefty. I mean, just he looks like a major leaguer. He acts like a major leaguer. He is crushing AAA. He was only called up from AA, a week ago, and he's just having the week of his life. 5 homers. He's hitting .346 this season. The Royals could use some help, there's no doubt. Why have we not seen him in the big leagues? This is when we talk about service time manipulation. Service time manipulation is critical in the month of April, May, and June. The way it works is that if you don't call up a player until toward the end of June in a particular season, this whole first season is on the house. It's free. It is not a coincidence that we called up Miguel Cabrera, let's say June 19th of 2003. We got all of 2003 for free because there's still 3 more seasons before arbitration. 3 more seasons at the minimum. When you call up a player after June, call it 19th, you get 3 full seasons plus this stub season, all at the minimum. It's why you see the best players called up at that time, because that's what makes the most sense. Now, don't at me. Don't go crazy in the comments with Coca live on YouTube at the moment. Because yes, it is true that the most recent collective bargaining agreement tried to figure out a way to stop this service time manipulation, and they did something that owners laughed at. The players agreed. All right, we want our best players to be called up. We want to give them a chance. Here's what we'll do. If you call up a player late because you think he's not ready, wink, wink, and you're really just trying to manipulate his service time, which you are, we're going to make it so that if a player finishes top 2 in Rookie of the Year, no matter when they're called up, it will be as though they were called up day 1 of the season, and they'll get a full year of service. That's a big deal. And do you know how many teams have changed their strategy about call-ups because of that new rule? I'm going to say 0 because I want to be argumentative. And you're going to say, but David, some of the best players were called up to start the season. Bobby Witt, Tatis, name some of the great young guys. And they've been there. And that shows that the new CBA is working. I'm trying to bring you inside the head of the front office so you can understand that the conversations that take place during off-season and spring training as it relates to your young players, you've got a strategy for every one of them. CBA be damned. It doesn't enter the conversation. If it's true that Jac Caglianone, this first baseman, gets brought up later in June, and he ends up winning Rookie of the Year and getting a full year of service time, the Royals will not say that they had the wrong strategy. They will not basically pay attention to media scrutiny to say, hey, how come you didn't call him up earlier? Because the overwhelming odds are that he won't. And when it happens, you tip your cap, you give him the year of service time, and you move on. The GM of the Royals gave you the quote yesterday, and I hope that you're reading between the lines, because we will. He said to hit 5 home runs in a week is a pretty good accomplishment. That's true. But the best way to break any player into the big leagues is to try to bring them up when the team is hot. Do you know what we used to do, Coca? And this is bad. I admit it. We would tailor our public statements according to the situation we were in at that particular moment. So right now, the Royals are 5-10 in their last 15. So when they know they don't want to bring up the player for another month because of service time manipulation, what you have to tell the public is, hey, it's not great for the player to come into a situation where the team is struggling. Do you know what the GM would have said if the Royals were 10-5 in their last 15? We don't want to interrupt what we've got going here. We've got such a good thing that we don't want to mess with the chemistry. Whatever the scenario is, that is what you tailor the PR spin to, because the assumption by all baseball executives is that all of us, media, fans, we're a bunch of dolts. But we're not. Here on Nothing Personal, we tell you how it is. And the way it is with the Royals, smartly so. Smartly so. They're not calling. This guy could hit 5 home runs a week for the next 3 weeks. Nope. They're not going to do it. They would be it. You know what, Coca? I got to tell you. This is not overstating it. This is not hyperbole. It would be professional malpractice to call him up right now. Therefore, do everyone understand why I'm saying how important it is when a player gets to arbitration? Why teams pay attention to Super 2, which is getting arbitration a year early? Why teams pay attention to when a player will be a free agent, the number of years you have a player under control? Why pay attention to when a player goes to arbitration? Think about this for a minute. When you get paid the minimum, just call it 800 grand. But back in the day, it was 300 grand, 100 grand, 500 grand. But just say 800 grand. A player like a Miguel Cabrera or like a performing young player who has tremendous bulk, lots of home runs, lots of runs batted in, maybe even some special accomplishments like a World Series or a Rookie of the Year. The first year arbitration number could be like $7 million. But let's just even say it's $5 million. The difference between paying a player $5 million and 800 grand, that's what's at stake. But wait, it then builds on that. If you let a player become a Super 2, that player can make $5 million in arbitration and the next year make $9 million. You will have paid a player $14 million over 2 years when you could have paid him the minimum for 1 year and then the first year arbitration the second year. I know you're with me. I don't need a blackboard to tell you. But if you do it wrong and you don't manipulate, you could end up paying $14 million versus $6 million. That is an $8 million decision. How many of you would not make an $8 million decision to your favor? Everybody. Front offices are rational actors financially. They have to be, because you want to spread your payroll around to as many players as possible. You want as many players as possible outperforming their contracts. To do it, you try to keep the money as low as possible. It's not about keeping your thumb on somebody or trying. It's always called by the union manipulating, as though when you change how you do your supply chain, you're manipulating things in order to lower your cost of goods sold. No, you're doing business. Yes, Coca, I do get frustrated because everybody does the same thing in every single industry. But a baseball team president who does it, oh my God, what a cheap SOB. All right, I'm over it.